What up, Bucs fans? It is Michael Plus here, Mark Ramirez with Real Bucs Talk. We are back. We are live. It is training camp is in full swing. We are still working out the kinks here at Real Bucs Talk. We're trying to get back into season mode as we had some technical difficulties, but we appreciate all the guys that are in here. If you're joining us, please feel free to ask questions and let's get it right into it. I mean, week one training camp it's pretty much getting underway. We're day 5, I think, was today, full pads. So finally getting some physicality out there. And so far, I mean, it's been pretty good. The quarterback battle is definitely heating up. Competition throughout. We're seeing a lot of new things and a lot of excitement on both sides of the ball, defensively making plays, offense making plays. So, Mark, I mean, what's your just early thoughts of this Buccaneers training camp so far?
I like the competitive fire big time. I like all the positive reviews you hear, but I don't think you're ever going to hear anything bad. I mean,
Right.
it's usually self-inflicted pains, like the fans that will say the bad things.
Yeah.
But really, right now, you hear nothing but positives about all the new coaches, all the new defensive coaches that were fizzled in there, like George Edwards.
Right.
And everyone's talking about that quarterback battle. Like initially, everyone's like, "Oh, Baker's got it in the bag," and now the hype train that is Kyle Trask is getting out there. They're noticing a little bit more zip on his passes, him getting confidence in the offense, something that everyone always heard he was a slow learner. He's learning this offense pretty fast. Is it just because his development, or is this system really that easy to learn? It is QB friendly, like Canales likes to say. We're going to find out. And I mean, you're going to kind of mention it later on how they're each taking turns of first team, second team, first team, second team. Yeah, if you're going against second teams, you better be able to play like a first string player if that's what you're trying to play up for, right?
Yeah.
And then again, our first team defense is pretty damn good. I mean, I think we've been hyping them up all off season. So, I mean, there's a lot of positives coming out of this, and yeah, iron sharpens iron. It's always been the old adage or whatever you want to call it. And we need that. We need to have that number one quarterback come to fruition. And who's it going to be? We don't really know. We all have favorites, right? But it is good to see that no one's backing down, right?
Yeah, definitely. And, I think that's what you're seeing from across the team. Competition is making everyone better. And that's what you want to see for Kyle Trask. Trask, first 2 years really didn't have a good opportunity to, move up the depth chart. He wasn't going to be the starter because Tom Brady was here. He wasn't going to be the backup to Tom Brady because you had Blaine Gabbert, who, he was the number 2 guy. So when you look at what Kyle has done, really, he's just developed behind the scenes. And anyone who watched or pay attention closely to Trask and his mechanics, his release, everything has improved from year 1 to year 2. Now it's even taken a step further in year 3. And I think the reason why he's a little bit more confident, a little bit more comfortable, is because he's playing in a system where it helps him. You're not putting so much on the quarterback. It's about rhythm. It's about timing. It's about getting rid of the football quickly, being confident and decisive. And I think that's what you're seeing from him. But you're also seeing it from, Baker Mayfield as well. He's making plays. He's doing things, same thing. So they're alternating, each guy's getting a rep with the ones. And yeah, I mean, I think it's really good. I like what, so far it's become. Do we still think Baker's probably going to be the starter? Most likely. He's got the experience. He's got the edge in the system. And they brought him in here for a reason. But if Kyle keeps performing like he does, I mean, who knows? I mean, you got to go with the best guy, the guy that's going to help this offense be the most effective. And if that's Trask, then, so be it. And let's see what we got.
I mean, if anything, he's building momentum, and he's got to literally get in a position where the coaches have to give it to him, right? I mean, Baker has everything on his side. He's better made for the system. He's more mobile. He's got the experience, the awareness, everything that you want in a quarterback to playoff game. Are you good?
Yeah, we're good. We froze for a second. Must be my Wi-Fi. Again, technical difficulties.
And there we go. I was like, what happened?
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I was just saying, like, Baker's got everything in his side. Trask has to literally play to literally be like, I have to give it to this guy. And it's not just, oh, you're going to give it to him because he's been there for 3 years now. He has made improvements every year. We saw it last preseason. And then now in training camp, you see a lot more zip than it was even this year. And standing taller, he made little changes of that, playing bigger. He's a 6'5", play bigger.
Yeah.
Just being comfortable, confident. He's showing that. Yeah, he doesn't have the moxie or the ability to talk as savvy as Baker Mayfield has, but I mean, not everyone has that charisma, right? But you don't necessarily need charisma to win games, win football games. We're just looking to get one more point than the other team. I mean, we made that comment a lot last year, and we're just begging for that. But I mean, hey, this quarterback competition is going to go down the wire. It did for Seattle, and it worked out good for them. So let's see what happens here. But another big confident thing, or not confident, but like exciting thing for me is Shaq Barrett back at practice, looking like he's literally fully healthy almost. I mean, you saw his outside linebacker drills, him dropping back, change direction, looked fine. And just that room in general, Shaq, JTS, I'm hoping to have a big improvement based off coaching and experience. I mean, last year, at the end of the year, he was actually getting better. Everyone wants to write him off. He didn't get the Big Ten sack season, blah, blah, blah. But he was getting better. And then him training with Anthony Nelson in the offseason, getting to know the defense better. And then hearing Anthony Nelson speak about how smart this rookie class is of Yaya Diaby and Jose Ramirez, like how fast they're picking up the playbook. And that's huge. I mean, Todd Bowles' defense, which is bullets flying everywhere. You don't know necessarily where to be. You have to cover someone else's ass if they're blitzing. So they're picking that up pretty fast. That's huge. And the fact that we got faster, stronger with those guys, Yaya and Jose Ramirez, I think that's telling. So that room itself, we've been crying, literally crying for that to happen. And now it's almost like they got rotations of it and just more competition to see who's going to win that spot.
Yeah, definitely. I think, obviously, going back to Shaq, I mean, what he's been through this offseason and what he's has been able to overcome has been truly remarkable. For him to be 100%, like you said, and be able to move just effortlessly out there and really seems like he didn't have an injury at all. It just seems like he's back to normal. And playing like the Shaq Barrett we know. So that's awesome. It's a credit to him. And it's inspiring, I think, to that whole group. And when you look at, Yaya Diaby and Jose, and you bring back Anthony Nelson and then also JTS, that's a very good, solid outside linebacker group that you have, because it's more dynamic. You got more athleticism there. You got size. You got everything you want. You got pass rush ability. So yeah, there's a lot to like from that group, and yeah, really, really encouraged by what we see from them so far.
Yeah, I mean, Cam Gill was a guy who was going to make the roster. He didn't get hurt last year. Now he
might not make it.
Right? So
yeah.
I mean,
you haven't heard his name,
right?
Yeah.
And another person like Little B Big over here says, any word on Devin White? I mean, you haven't heard his name much at all. I've seen him in pictures.
Yeah.
And all you've heard is little questions in the beginning of camp of, is he going to actually participate because he wants that big contract?
Right.
He's being quiet. I'm surprised. Like, maybe he was meaning that in his little message, his encrypted message he put up on Instagram. He's learned from what it was, whatever. And he's like, you know what? What if I do the Levante David way? Just do my damn job and lead by example? Like, maybe, because he's not being rah-rah. He's not being a distraction. That's a good thing. It's a really, really good thing. And hey, let's see. I mean, I take the no big news as a really good news.
Yeah, I think Devin White is focused. He's ready to play football. And you talk about competition. You talk about competition. You look at Servassier Dennis, who's making plays after play. Again, he's pushing, Devin White to be even better. So I like it. Yeah, I'm excited about that group a lot too. Levante, and then you have Servassier as your third linebacker, which I feel is an upgrade from what they've had in the past, and I feel that will be something fun to watch to see how they work that guy in there as far as like some type of package, whether it be blitzing or what have you, and get him on the field.
Yeah, I mean, he's been the biggest name so far in the offseason and early in camp. picking people off left and right. I mean, he
Mm,
almost looks like the body of a safety. He doesn't really look big. He looks more like a safety, I guess, like a smaller
mhm.
linebacker safety. And he was
Right.
more known for getting downhill and getting pressure on the quarterback, getting sacks, blitzing A gaps. But now he's showing his smarts. Like you always heard him as smart, a smart player. He
Mhm,
knows the defense entirety in its entirety, and now he's being used in different ways. You never. That's always something where coaches use you how they want to use you, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's all you're good at. Like these quarterbacks that come out, oh, they're a system quarterback. That's it.
mhm.
In that system, yeah, they're really damn good at it. Doesn't necessarily mean that's the only thing they're going to be good at the rest of their career. But coaches pigeonhole players, right? And Todd Bowles knows how to use the best of their ability for what they're good at. I mean, you
Mhm.
didn't necessarily see him backpedal much in college, and we even did the film study. He didn't look comfortable backpedaling.
Yeah.
But again, it's he did pick off Baker, so there was probably first team, I would assume. But I don't know. Like it's all good things, though. I mean, that is
Mhm.
a very good thing. Let's see what happens when it's game situation and people are actually scheming and planning things up, though.
Right. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, so far, I mean, just getting back to kind of want to just overview pretty much every position if we can. I know we talked a little bit about quarterback and then outside linebacker, middle linebacker as well. But I want to get back to the offense. Want to talk about the running back room. So far, Rashad White looks like the comfortable leader as our running back one. And then you look at Keyshawn Vaughn, who is getting a lot of headlines right now as the backup to Rashad White, and he's playing well so far. Running effectively and efficiently, and he's catching the ball too. So just the development of his game in this offense. Again, it's an offense that maybe just suits him a lot better than the previous offense did. So you look at him, you look at Chase Edmonds, and then also the guy who's returned, and that's Sean Tucker. As you see him, number 44.
Blessed.
A lot of praise about him, and yeah, I mean, can't wait to see him in the preseason. He talked about his speed, 4.3 guy, has that elusive feel to his game, but also can bring some power. So, and they, his nickname is Baby Nick Chubb, which is pretty funny. So yeah, I mean, excited about that room. Just your overall thoughts of the running back room and what can we expect from them?
A lot of potential in there. And
Mm-hmm.
again, a team that's going to be focused on running the ball.
Yeah.
It almost seemed like any running back that was in the Seattle system always had a big game. I mean, yeah, some were better than others, but usually they'd have a 100-yard rusher if they just plugged them in because their commitment to running. It wasn't just because they were all great. It was more the scheme and how they used their running backs and how they got them to slowly get more yards throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Something we don't know anything about the past 3 years. So looking at Rashad White, yes, he's going to be hopefully the early on bell cow. But then you have these guys that can do so many different things, like Chase Edmonds, such a good pass catcher out of the backfield, shifty, make you miss
Yeah.
type of guy. Keyshawn Vaughn, I don't know if it was Bowles or Canales talking about it, but he's just a very consistent, steady player. Yes, he's going to
Mm-hmm.
he's a better runner than catching of the ball, but still consistent, knows how to block. Laird, I mean, I've seen him in practice a couple times. Let's see, because that everyone's favorite is going to be Sean Tucker, of course. The speed, you get the nickname Baby Nick Chubb. His calves are probably why. His calves are freaking jacked
Mm-hmm.
and lower center of gravity, but he's a speed guy. He's not necessarily a mow you over type of player, but everyone's going to be pulling for him. So, bottom of that roster, who makes it there is going to be iffy, but it's still, I like the. I mean, think about it. This isn't necessarily young guys. Keyshawn Vaughn is what? This is his third year as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same draft class as Trask.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. So,
No, he was a year before.
oh, well, even more experience. I mean,
Yeah.
so that's a veteran type room. And, Rashad White's the head of it, but still, I mean, that there is talent there. And Rashad White had plenty of experience from last year. So
Mm-hmm.
running backs usually the more tread, the worse. And that's a good group to have, a diverse group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. So yeah, excited about that. Excited to see, that room showing a lot of good things so far in camp. And then, moving to the tight end position, and this is a position that's been featured a lot in training
Yep.
camp, as we see in the passes, and a name that it's been catching people's eyes and could compete for tight end number 2 is David Wells,
Yep.
the tight end there. He's a little older tight end, age 28. But again, he's a guy that's making plays. He's got the size, 6'6", 260. It's really going to come down for him is blocking. Can he hold his ground in blocking and still make those plays as a receiver? But so far, he's made a lot of plays early on. And that goes for the rest of the group. Cade Otton's caught a couple touchdowns, and you look at O'Keefe. Haven't really heard much from Payne Durham, but man, it's a group that is intriguing for sure, just because they're getting a lot more targets than they did in the past. So that's really nice to see that they're going to be featured as an offense.
Yeah, and I mean, we've talked about this in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle's offense was more tight end heavy than anything. Why?
Yeah.
Because the more tight ends on the field, the better blockers you have on the field to help open up your run game. And then when they're committing down towards the run, a tight end, once you think he's going to block you, then he runs past you. It's a lot easier. So 12 and 13 personnel is going to be there. O'Keefe, we know he's a great blocker. Can he start catching the ball? You've seen him catch the ball in the offseason a little bit. Cade Otton could take a massive step forward. He was already good last year.
Yeah.
No one really talks about him. He was just a consistently, quietly good guy. He wasn't really flashy. He was just consistent, almost like a Dave Moore from years past. Or I don't know if anyone can relate with Dave Moore, but he was just consistent. If you needed to catch, he'd catch it. He's not going to break one loose like Gronkowski or I don't know who you want to compare him to, Travis Kelce. He's not going to be that type of guy. But I'm looking just when you need it on a down and distance. I need to chalk it up for you. Get it. Consistency. That's what I want. And I feel like he's going to be that type of player this year.
Yeah.
Not to mention he's a good blocker. But I think these three, Durham's just going to be an elite like end zone target. I mean, he had 8 touchdowns last year with Purdue. That's not a great team, and he was kind of chalking it up all in the end zone. But I mean, 12, 13 personnel, you're going to need your tight ends, and that's only going to open things up. It's going to be such a beautiful thing to see every level of the offense being worked, not just always looking deep. I think even Bowles said that today in a press conference. He's like, well, he knows Trask isn't just going to have to hit the deep shot. He's just hitting the open player. What a concept. Wow.
Yeah. It's and again, we talked about it. It's attacking the middle of the field, right? You have those great receivers on the outside. It opens up the middle of the field. So with that said, let's transition to the receivers. Obviously, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin are making plays after play. We're seeing Mike Evans catch the ball in the middle of the field like we talked about, and he's getting actual yak yards where he's running after the catch, being schemed open, something we've always talked about. So that's awesome to see. Russell Gage is back at practice. They're working him in slowly, but, back out there. So that's great. And then really the guy that's caught my eye, well, actually there's 2 guys, Devin Tompkins and David Moore. Those 2 guys have really stood out to me. Tompkins seems like he's just catching everything thrown his way, making plays. And then David Moore's been a guy that has worked in this system before and has impressed. I mean, he's making plays out there consistently. So, yeah, I mean, I like the receiver room. It's got a lot of guys that could be, on this team for sure.
And even like you saw word today, Cade Warner made the catch of the day. He proclaimed himself as the smartest player in the draft. Hey, he's cocky. I'll give him that. But I guess the big knock on him is, he's smart. He knows where it needs to be, but he needs to get open in the most fastest way possible. Not too much of the shaking and trying to deceive the person. No, you need to get the hell open because your quarterback needs to get rid of the ball. So it's getting him to understand that part of it. But still, look at the room. You got Trey Palmer, speed demon. You got Devin Tompkins, can do anything. And look, shaky, he's just small. But the dude can jump, he can run, he can do whatever he wants. Does he take that next step, right? Does he win that return position? Trey Palmer and him probably going to have that competition as well. But, I mean, you heard in the offseason, Raheem Jarrett was getting high praise. So training camp for the wide receiver room, besides the top 3, it's a fight. It's a
Mhm.
fight for what can you provide for me, not just behind the big dogs, but what can you provide special teams wise, and where are you contributing, right?
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, really looking forward to that competition continuing. And yeah, it's really going to separate itself once we get into, the preseason games and see how they do against other competition. So that's exciting. And then, we talk about the offensive line and so far, I mean, been pretty status quo. Ryan Jensen is in and out. But yeah, I mean, Cody Mock is playing pretty well as the starting right guard, really has been set in stone there from day one. And it seems like he's running away from it. But again, we have to see how these guys do against other competition and see how they do against different defenses. But yeah, I mean, O line, you got to be impressed, especially with how certain guys are transitioning. Tristan Wirfs seems like he's coming along just fine, and yeah, it looks good. But again, got to see what they do against Pittsburgh and these other teams.
Because I think it was Colton Davis that said it. They're like,
Mm,
"Oh, what do you think about the offense?" He's like, It's good, it's different." He's like, "But yeah, we're
yeah,
playing ourselves every day, so we don't really know how
right.
good we are until we start facing other teams." Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you keep seeing the same thing. It's more your matchup. Like, right, him, it's just like, "Okay, I'm facing Mike Evans every day. I'm trying to get better against the best."
Yeah.
But schematically wise, they're trying to beat you. You don't really know. Like, if
Mm,
Tristan Wirfs may look really, really good against one-on-ones, right now, but when it's a scheme, "Oh, well, let's test this new left tackle. He's been used to
mhm,
the right. Let's start sending things his way." Making him think faster on the down, right? Down a distance. So it's a lot more difficult in that way. So yeah, we know he's an all-world right tackle. Making
mhm.
that transition live game action is a big difference. Even though there is experience there, the right side, there's no experience.
Yeah.
So the communication between Gedeke and Mock is going to be huge. So I know Mock gets all the praise for being smart, knowing where to be, athletic, but Gedeke, you played better at right tackle, but that's huge.
Mhm.
That's mainly why they set it in stone so early. Get your communication down and let's roll. Hey,
Yeah.
here's what we got.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, so far, I mean, you're again, it's early. They just had the first day of pads, so really that competition will start to heat up as we get later into the week. And you start to see, O line versus D line one on ones, all that stuff, um, and kind of see how those units are gelling. I know Robert Hainsey and Nick Leverett have been kind of alternating at center, with Ryan Jensen kind of just taking it slow, and really he doesn't need to play, during the preseason. They can just, kind of ease him in. So with that said, we'll go to the defense now and talk about Kalijah Cansey, who did suffer an injury yesterday. He did have it's a reported calf strain. He did have an MRI today, and it seems like it's not too serious, nothing structural damage or anything on that nature. So that's great news. It's just unfortunate we probably won't see him till the regular season. I think they're going to let him rest and just let him start week one against Minnesota, or maybe just work him in slowly, and then you'll start to see him get into that starting lineup. So that's kind of unfortunate, but also it's a blessing because he's not severely injured where he's going to miss significant time. So kind of works out for the Buccaneers in that way.
Yeah, I mean, but either way, he's a player that works off of explosion. I
Right.
mean, early on there, I know he's penciled in as a starter right there, but
Right.
they weren't going to rely on him on early downs. I truly don't believe that. I mean,
Yeah.
we've seen where pass rusher, we never really use them early in downs. Like, he's going to be a rotational type of guy regardless. And if you got a guy that is his game is based off explosion and it's a calf strain, I would not rush that back.
Yeah.
Let that back, because if you rush that back, worse things can happen.
Mhm.
So let's ease him in how he should, and I'm more anxious to see that explosion. It doesn't matter. Like, he's not going to lose that explosion, and
Mhm.
get him back against a team where it's a 320-pound lineman against him, where he can use quickness. I think it's just so dangerous next to Vita Vea. It's just going to be fun to
Mhm.
watch, especially if there's like a stunt and you're expecting some other big guy. You're like, who the hell was that? Is that a linebacker? Like,
Yeah.
it's going to be fun to watch, and how they use him as like a chess piece in this defense. But I mean, we dodged a bullet here. I think
Yeah.
yeah, everyone kind of saw the the play. He kind of held up. He's like, "Ooh, ooh," but he walked
Mhm.
off and ended up walking to the cart and getting carted out. So good.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and, also it's a benefit to Logan Hall, who gets more reps now. I think Logan, can kinda step up into that role that Kalijah was gonna play, and can kinda see where his progression has been. And then, still have Greg Gaines there. You have William Golston brought back for a reason. So I think that adds depth to your front line there. And you still have, Patrick O'Connor as well. Um, so yeah, interesting. It's gonna be fun. And then we've talked about the outside linebacker position. I think that one is pretty much set in stone. I think you're going to roll with those guys that we talked about. That'd be Shaq Barrett, JTS, Yaya, Anthony Nelson, then Jose Ramirez. But it'll be, I mean, one of those guys from, that we didn't say, will they step up and put themselves in the conversation? I mean, who knows? I mean, it does come down to, what we see in the games, and anybody can come out of nowhere, and it's happened before. I mean, we saw it with our own, like, Noah Spence for Shaq Barrett. Like, we saw it there where Shaq just kind of took over the games, and Noah Spence wasn't doing much in the game, and it hurt him. So, yeah, I like overall, just talking about that front seven. We talked about it a lot. Very good on paper, and I think it's a strong point of the team for sure.
I mean, just not even looking at the rookies. I mean,
Yeah. Mm.
just with Shaq, JTS, and Anthony Nelson, just all those guys returning is just continuity and guys that get better. Continuity in the defense, and then guys that are
Mm.
getting better. I don't write off JTS just yet. That's all I'll say. Shaq is
Mm.
a very consistent player. Yeah, he didn't get 19.5 sacks. Ooh, but he's literally almost a 10 sack guy almost every year when he
Right.
goes out there.
Yeah.
And he's healthy. So a very consistent pass rusher. We just need speed to go with it. And now we got speed in the inside, speed in the outside. We got a little bit of everything. So I like what we're using. And someone else asked earlier, I don't know if it was Flash Gordon or who it was, but if someone's if they're going to start using Servassier Dennis as a pass rusher, and I think that's something that they asked Bowles earlier on in the offseason. I mean, that guy could be used as a chess piece as well. I mean, he's known as a more of a guy that's downhill. So
Mhm.
what do you see? Do you see him kind of making it in pass rush specialist kind of?
I think, yeah, I think Servassier will definitely be a part of, some type of blitz package where they can get him on the field. I could definitely see that. Where maybe they do bring on, an extra linebacker, take a defensive lineman off, and utilize them in that way, and see what happens. Yeah, for sure. And then, this secondary.
Oh, it's
eh,
Farouk Kawab, my boy, my
Oh
man.
yeah,
There he is.
yeah, yeah. I think it happens. I think you could definitely see that, uh, for sure. And then just talking about the secondary seems like it's making plays every day, which is great. That nickel position battle is definitely going to be fierce. As I think Josh Hayes made some plays today, and then you also have, D Delaney getting a lot of reps there. You look at Christian Isian, the guy from Rutgers. He's another guy that they've been utilizing him on blitzes a lot, and seeing a lot from him as far as playmaking ability. But I'm really excited about our safety group. I like Antoine and Ryan Neal. I think those guys are a lot of fun. I think that's where you can see a lot of different packages in the way they utilize him.
Did you freeze or are you just thinking? Oh, okay.
No, I'm back. No, I'm here.
So the safety room,
Hmm.
Antoine Winfield's going to be something special. I'm telling
Yeah.
you. Like, I mean, he's taken upon to be a leader this year.
Hmm.
He's going to know where everyone has to be. Him and Ryan Neal are literally like study buddies,
Right.
literally knowing the defense inside and out. Two guys that are like, I guess we would say, like, not war room guys, film
Hmm.
room guys that
Yeah.
pay attention. I don't think people understand how big of a difference Ryan Neal is than Mike Edwards. Mike Edwards
Right.
was a risk taker. That's all you heard. He likes to go after the
Yeah.
ball. He didn't really
Yeah.
play within the defense. That's a problem.
Mm.
There's no other way to say it. So, I mean, if you got two guys that know where they have to be and are film junkies like that,
Yeah.
communicate very, very well. Mike Edwards is more of a I'm all about me type of guy. Ryan Neal, if you
Right.
watch some of the stuff from Seattle, he was all about the team.
Yeah.
You can bring that same mold here, get the hell out. I mean,
Mm.
both guys communicating to the guys underneath him, hell yeah. And then he's a very good blitzer. We already know Winfield could do literally everything. And now he's
Yeah.
going back to his main position. So I'm very, very happy with that. And the guys behind him, again, you've heard nothing but good things from all of them.
Mhm.
Izzy, Whitehead, Merriweather, and Turner. They've all you've heard something good about all of them. So it's going to be a
Yeah.
hell of a competition for the backup positions.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, just excited just about the competitions that we named off. We kind of went through every position there. And then you also have the kicking battle as well. And both guys right now are pretty much neck and neck, so that'll be fun to watch. So yeah, the competition is just everywhere. And I think you got to like that for a team that just the vibe feels different. I think with Tom Brady effect and Tom not being here, kind of the shadow, or not the shadow, but that just that thing that Tom Brady gives the buzz, I should say, that gives your team, and now it's they're kind of underlooked or overlooked now, and kind of have that under the radar feeling, which I think they like. You can just see a more hungry team, a team that's more focused than it was last year. For whatever reason, last year it was a bad vibe, and it started with the Ryan Jensen injury,
Yeah.
and it just seemed like everything kind of trickled down from that. This year, it just feels like everything is more fresh, more rejuvenated, more energy in the building. So,
I'm sorry to laugh. I just noticed
oh,
Colin's comment up here.
oh,
Anybody notice Plus Sporting that something about Mary Harry do?
it's just the spikes, but yeah, I love it.
Oh, he's been blessed.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
was good. That
Yeah,
hey, Krillin,
yeah,
comment of the night right there. If you
yeah.
could do a comment of the night, like if there's a point system for comment of the night or something, I can give you that. That's it. You
Mhm.
nailed it. I
Yeah.
mean, last year's in the past, there was a lot of things that went wrong last year.
Yeah.
So let's move forward. A lot of the areas have been corrected,
Mhm.
got tossed away, and new was brought in, starting with Canales in the offense. But I mean, another coach, I mean, George Edwards, like on the defense.
Mhm.
That's why I'm saying don't write off Joe Tryon Trinka just yet, because
Yeah.
this guy's coached nothing but great pass rushers. I mean, it's not just from last year, Chandler Parsons and what he's done
Mhm.
with him. It's literally there's every year with the Vikings. It was um, what
Right.
what's the Anthony Barr and who's the other guy? He did really well at the Vikings. But Cameron
Uh,
Wake
yeah,
was
Cameron Wake, Everson Griffin.
Everson Griffin.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a long line of really good
Mhm.
defensive ends. And if you get a
Yeah.
guy that has all the tools in JTS, unleash him and
Mhm.
have him learn how to bend that corner a little bit more. Give him the tools to just unleash it. I mean, Chandler Parsons was the most raw guy coming out, and he said, "Just go.
Yeah.
This is what you have. Use it." So I'm excited to see what happens there, especially with a deep room like that.
Mhm.
Defense gonna be scary, guys. It's gonna be
Yeah,
scary.
yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. And we're gonna be at the practice on Thursday, so kind of get a better understanding of what is going on with the team, how what kind of offenses are we running, as far as scheme and personnel packages, all those good things. So that'll be cool. Defensively, what are they bringing to the table? So it's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see what it's gonna look like. Obviously, we know it's gonna be different and new, which is always fun to dissect and analyze. Um, but yeah, I mean, quarterback battle is heating up. I'm excited and that's what I talked about I talked about that on Twitter. It's like you want both of these guys to do well. I think, even Coach Canales said that. He's like, you want these guys to really play well and make it tough. And, obviously, I think that makes the best guy rise to the top, and that's what they're looking for.
I mean, and that's literally how everyone's looking at this Bucs team.
Hmm.
It's you either got a quarterback or you're nothing.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think that. Like, I mean, look at San Francisco. They haven't had a great legit quarterback in a while.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
Brock Purdy was he Mr.
Mm.
Irrelevant?
Yeah, he
Was he?
was the last pick. Yeah,
Yeah.
last pick.
And was he a high touted guy? No, he was just best guy for the scheme.
Mhm.
The guy that they drafted high to fit in there is being laughed at and talked nothing but down with their San
Mhm.
Francisco fans. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a shiny weapon to win games. Sometimes you need that to get over the hurdle and win a Super Bowl. But I
Mhm.
mean, look at the Chiefs with Alex Smith for years and years. Or I mean, he wins you games. He gets you to where you need to be. He just doesn't make mistakes. And a lot of what this offense is just don't make mistakes and let's move the ball, right?
Mhm.
We're just trying to play team ball, and you're going to do it at full speed, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what Canales has spoke of. He's like, you just need the quarterback to make the right read, make the right play. We're going to put him in position. You have the offense around him that is very talented and that can, do the heavy lifting, as you say. And, you're going to run the football. You're going to be committed to doing that. So you're already helping the quarterback in that way where the pass rush is going to be slowed down because they're not expecting a pass every play like we've had in the last couple of years where our guys were in pass protection pretty much most of the game, because that's all we did. We didn't try to run the ball and we couldn't run the ball. So, so when you look at that, I think it's gonna be a lot better. And you talk about San Francisco. A great example is because what do they have? They have a great defense. Bucks have a pretty good defense. I would say they're on the cusp of being great. And then you look at the scheme that San Francisco runs. Well, guess what? The Bucks run a very similar scheme now. So when you add that all in, and you have a great play caller in Kyle Shanahan who knows how to utilize what he has, they have a little bit different personnel. They have obviously a great running back, Christian McCaffrey. They have a great tight end and George Kittle, and then the receiver in Deebo Samuel. So really, they make it easier for their quarterback, where all he has to do is one read to two reads.
Sure.
That's pretty much it. You're just finding whoever's open, hitting that guy, or you're throwing it away, or you're running the football. You're running to yourself. And we've seen Kyle Trask do that a couple times here in the last couple practices, where he doesn't see it and he just runs up the middle, gets what he can, and that's it.
Yeah, like I think I mentioned this multiple times in the off season. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a play I was reading this article about Canales talking about Geno Smith's progression and why he's having such a good season. It was like, well, we're just making it simpler on him. Yeah, he's got some legs. We're not going to ask him to reuse it all the time, but
Yeah.
there's plays where they do four wide, how we used to have it all the damn time.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one read. Is where's the linebacker going to go? If the linebacker covers that one guy shaded off in the slot, you're going to run
Mm-hmm.
the damn ball.
Yeah.
That's the read. If he doesn't, you throw the ball right there. And it's making it that simple. That's what a quarterback system is. You're leaning
Mm-hmm.
towards the quarterback, helping him with easier decisions
Yeah.
based on spreading things out or pulling things in. Like it's using your space to your advantage. And that's why I think using the different levels of your running game, your tight ends in the middle of the field, your wide receivers on the outside, just spread them out. And then all of a sudden, if you can join everything and tight ends go out, people
Mm-hmm.
bump into each other and you get that leverage or moving people in motion, people start bumping into each other in the defense. Where the hell am I supposed to be? If it's a zone, where do I? Yeah.
Right.
Offense knows the defense has to be reactionary. We talk about that all the time. And it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
fun. That's going to be fun just to kind of see what type of offense we're going to be. And
Mm-hmm.
I think we have enough of the outside presence of Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, where that middle's going to be open. Kate Otten and these tight ends should be able to get open. And this is what Canales likes. Likes to get the tight end involved. So,
Mm-hmm.
hey.
Yep. Yep. And speaking of likes, be sure to hit that like button for all the people in here. We appreciate all the support, all the questions, the comments, the participation. So do us a favor, hit that like button and subscribe. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe. But I think most of you guys in here are already subscribers. So shout out to all of you that are joining us here on this Monday. This is going to be pretty much a regular thing going throughout the rest of the year into the season, hopefully the playoffs. This is going to be it. So yeah, really excited about the season coming up. I think this team is vastly being underlooked, and I can't wait for it to get started. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, because that's one thing that kind of blows my mind. Like hearing other outlets talk about the Panthers, the Falcons,
Mhm.
and the Saints, how they're just so much night and day better. And then you look at the Bucs because they lost Tom Brady, they're so night and day worse.
Right.
And like, I mean, yes, Tom Brady, greatest quarterback of all time, no question about it. And but he did come to this team for a reason. It's because it was a good team around him,
Mhm.
and he knew he could take it to that next level. Jameis was just making a bunch of mistakes. He's like, if I limit
Yeah.
the mistakes, damn, this could be a damn good team.
Right.
So, are we just thinking that whoever's not Tom Brady is just going to be Jameis Winston? Is that the thought process? I don't get it.
Mhm.
I mean, maybe someone down in the comments can describe what the hell's going on. Why a team like the Falcons can be talked about as going to be an NFC South champion when I mean Ritter was what we had to put in our third string defense for him to score anything. It was just
Yeah.
we couldn't move the ball. They didn't do anything. Both times we faced the Falcons, they were like nothing could work until we
Mhm.
literally just took everyone out. Or
Mhm.
in Devin White's words, we just stopped. We're basically imposing your will on a team. You go lackadaisical.
Right.
Hopefully that's changed. Hopefully that's changed. But
No,
yeah,
agreed. Yeah, and speaking of the division, I mean, it's gonna be it's gonna be competitive like it was last year. I think all the teams are gonna be right there, but I feel it's gonna come down to whoever can win those close games, who can play the smartest football, who can play um, consistent. That's gonna be the thing we're looking for. A lot of the teams last year were not consistent. There are a lot of up and downs, but when you look at it across the board, you look at what the Panthers have, new everything pretty much, new staff, new quarterback, rookie as well.
wide
So a lot,
receivers or
yeah, wide
as
receiver, yeah,
well.
yeah, wide receivers are young, not a lot of talent there. So different, different for sure. You look at the Saints, kind of the same, but they also lost a lot of defensive pieces too. And then you look at their new quarterback, Derek Carr, and we don't know what's going to happen with Alvin Kamara. He could be facing suspension. So there's a lot of different, components there. And then Atlanta, yes, they've added some pieces. I think Jesse Bates is a great safety they added.
Yeah.
Getting Kalijah Campbell is nice, but again, up there in age. So yeah, they'll be an interesting team. But like you said, it's going to come down to who's going to be that consistent, who's going to play consistent at quarterback and who's going to be consistent overall on both sides of the ball. That's what it's going to come down to.
Let the media talk. In the words of great Blaine Gabbert,
Yep.
gangsters move in silence.
Right.
Hey, I mean, yes, I think no matter what, divisions beat up on each other,
Mhm.
and that's usually where injuries occur because there's just bad blood.
Right.
And the Saints are the toughest one. I mean, they may have lost some pieces, but defensively they are good. And
Mhm.
the old guys have always been pains in the asses are still all there. Uh, Honey Badger still there. Lattimore A-hole still there.
Yeah.
And then we don't like them because they're good players. I mean, I can respect it because I get pissed off because they're usually making plays against my team.
Yeah.
So right, so
Exactly.
that's why we get annoyed by them. Right, Demario Davis
Mhm.
is one of the best linebackers that doesn't get talked about enough.
Mhm.
But I don't know how they afforded Kalen Saunders. I just don't.
Mhm.
But the salary cap's fake with them. But I mean, either way, I think that's going to be the biggest competition. But I agree with Plus says it every time. I just don't believe in Dennis Allen and their offense without Drew Brees and Sean Payton.
Yeah, it's a different, obviously they're getting Michael Thomas back, but it's I don't know, it just they don't have the same offensive line as they had before, losing Teron Armstead.
Yeah.
Um, it's just gonna be different with them. So yeah, they're probably the biggest component for the Bucs because again, they've always been a tough, opponent for us. And then you look at the Falcons and the Panthers, I kind of sum them together. They're wild cards, but then at the same time, I think the Bucs still have the edge over them just based on what we still have here, the talent, the experience, and obviously with the new offense that I think is going to breed better going up against these defenses. I think that's going to help us in a lot of ways. But it's always going to come down to a lot of different factors. Can your team stay healthy, throughout the year? Can you get some luck as well? All those things go into it, and it's always a week to week league. So we don't know how it's going to be when we play these teams. We don't know who's up and who's down. So yeah, but all I can say is going to be fun. It's going to be entertaining, and probably come down to the last couple of weeks usually.
Yeah, and one thing you just mentioned, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Last year was not fun at all. Not necessarily just the games, but I don't feel like the team was having fun.
We didn't have fun at the games. Like it just wasn't fun. And I think this year it's going to be different.
The stands nonstop. Here comes the run. First down. Here comes a run. Oh, now we're going to pass the rest of the game. Fire left, which every game you heard it. Every game.
Yeah. I think it just got to a point where everything was so repetitive, and it just came. It was very dull. It was just, you walked into that stadium and you just had a mood about yourself, and it just wasn't uplifting or exciting or anything. And yeah, it was hard. So that's why I'm looking forward to this year. I think we're going to get back to having fun times at Raymond James. And, even if it ends up in a loss, I mean, I just feel like the team is still going to be competitive and exciting, where, the scheme won't be the problem. It's just going to be coming down to the players executing. And that's how it should be. That's how it should always be on the players. You shouldn't lose a game because your coach didn't properly game plan or didn't properly get your team prepared for the weekly opponent, or understand how to call a game effectively. I don't think we're going to have that issue.
Yeah, that making fun of analytics stuff. I don't think it's look at again. You got to compare this to Seattle. Like if you ask anyone about Seattle last year, everyone thought they're going to be bad.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying that we're going to be right. And I'm not saying we're going to be the exact carbon copy of what they are.
Right.
But they just all had fun. Like you asked Carroll, we're just letting the young guys have fun during the game. Like we're telling them to go full speed, go after it. And that's what I want to have the vibe to hear. Everyone keeps asking Bowles, what do you think about the culture? The culture. He's like, the culture of winning is there. Yeah, we have guys who've done it, but now we got a new offensive scheme where people are getting involved and everyone's doing little jabs. I think even Antoine Winfield mentioned how the offense is getting a lot more attention to the run, giving commitment to the run. Making sure to say that. Like, this is a lot more emphasis on this now than last time.
Right.
So,
yeah, I think Carlton Davis talked about it. He said the offense is being more balanced, showing more effort to running the football. So, I think that makes a huge world of difference. And yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun just to see, the pieces that are here, especially Chris Godwin now being utilized on the outside more, being able to make plays like he did in his first couple of seasons. People forget Chris Godwin is one of the more dominant outside receivers in this game. He wasn't just a slot receiver. He could make plays downfield. He could make all sorts of plays anywhere across the field. And now he's going to be utilized in that way. I mean, I think I texted you this morning about Russell Gage just catching a pass out of the backfield because they motioned him. They motioned him into the backfield. They swung him across the other way and just threw him the football. It's stuff like that where you see players being utilized to their strengths and not trying to, do too much or over the top kind of stuff. And we started off in the beginning talking about how Mike Evans is being schemed open. I mean, when's the last time we've seen Mike Evans run slant routes like on a consistent basis? We haven't seen that at all. And now he's being utilized with more route trees and given more options to make things happen. Yeah.
They were talking about Michael Thomas for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just being used creatively and putting these guys on the outside to spread it open for everyone else. Like, how many times do you hear in the last offense, we're not going to throw to the tight end, we're just throwing to the wide receivers? Like, how you just throw away a piece of the offense? Like, but hey, it's a new chapter in the Buccaneers giant book, right? We're bringing back the creamsicles, and we brought
Yeah.
new coach in that can hopefully show off what these offensive pieces can do. Because
Mhm.
that may be another reason why media thinks so badly of us, because you only saw what you last saw, and it was not a pretty offense. Was it
Mhm.
the players that weren't doing well, or are they just not being used correctly?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, with that said, guys, it's going to be a lot of fun this season. Can't wait. Be sure, hey, don't miss on Saturday. Rondé Barber is getting inducted to the Hall of Fame, so he'll have his Hall of Fame speech. So that'll be pretty cool to watch this weekend. I think that's going to be sometime Saturday. I'm not sure what time, but you got Rondé going into the Hall of Fame. It's a good studded class. I think Zach Thomas as well from Miami, and then a couple other guys that are all pros. It's going to be awesome. So yeah, be sure to look out for that. Another Buck in the Hall of Fame, and hopefully, fingers crossed, Simeon Rice will be there soon to join him, because I think it's absurd that he's not being considered, or at least being into a finalist. He should be. I mean, guy's got over 120 sacks, and we can't get him into the Hall of Fame. It's ridiculous.
Time tells all.
Yeah. Yep. But I think we're gonna call it a night. With that said, let's get this on there one more time. So be sure to hit that like button. Comment down below your thoughts of what you guys think of this training camp so far. What are you guys looking for specifically during the season? And with that said, everyone have a great night, and go Bucks.
Go Bucs, guys.